Well, hello out there, YouTube world, and anyone who may be watching this. Thanks for tuning in. Um, you know, please subscribe to the channel. That helps out a lot. And let's get moving. So, if those of you that don't know, I'm Lucas Burton. I've been a therapist for over 21 years now, and sort of transitioning into personal development coach. And so that's what brought me here. Um, so most of my subjects are things I've worked on with people or worked on myself, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. And if not, you know, uh, take what you can and leave what you don't need. All right. One of the things we talked about in the last video was sort of like where to start. And continuing on to that, one of the most challenging things for individuals or even groups of people is sort of working around the idea of acceptance. And it's usually, you'll hear sort of buzzwords like radical acceptance and those types of things. And those are really key to things. But the more that we work on accepting things, right? And acceptance isn't approval. That's not what we're talking about. But accepting situations, because lots of terrible things can happen to us in our lives or in our friends' lives or communities' lives. And the more we accept it, the sooner we begin to work on moving forward. And that may be very hard, or that, if you accept it, you're letting people away with things, and that's not what I'm talking about. Or that I've often heard, well, if I accept it, it's a sign of weakness. And I struggle with that because to me it takes an incredible amount of courage to work on accepting situations. I mean, one of the toughest things may not even be accepting the situation, it's accepting that it actually happened. Right? Because if we accept it, we have to actually validate that that happened to us or to someone we care about. And that's where I've noticed there's a lot of struggle for a lot of people, right? To actually accept that that thing happened or that situation happened. And it may be hard to think or even believe that when we accept things, we make room for new things to come in. And you might not like that, and I totally can understand that. So if you're accepting the loss of a relationship, and it's really hard and you're heartbroken by that, and you just don't understand like what happened, and you're continually playing it over and over again, but you've never got to the part that it's over, right? This person has said, I can't be with you. And you keep trying to fight that. And what happens is that we keep staying in that mindset, right? It just keeps going repetitive. Why did they leave? Why is it over? Why? And what I'm suggesting is lots of people talk about acceptance, so I'm not the guru on that in any way. Once we start accepting things, right? That okay, it is over. So there's room now for you to grow. You may not like that, but what I'm talking about is you start to grow and figure out how to work on you, right? Make the changes that you need to make. Because there might be things about you, maybe in relationships or in situations, that may be really hard for you to accept. Maybe you're not the greatest in relationships. Maybe you are always seeking validation and you end up attracting people that are like exes that you've had troubles with before in the past. Maybe you haven't accepted things to work on things so that you can attract someone different in your life. And that's what the key of that is, right? Is accepting things makes room for new things to come in. It's not accepting is approval. So if you're in a horrible situation, I'm not suggesting that right now you're like, yeah, like just Yeah, it's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not giving up, right? It's not, you're not accepting violence. You're not accepting, poor treatment. That's not what I'm talking about. You're accepting the fact that these things have happened. And now what? Where do you go? And the first thing is actually accepting that it did happen. Right? And now you need to move forward. And whatever that may look like, whether it's with a coach, with a therapist, a pastor, a minister, a good friend, a self-help group somewhere, but moving forward. I mean, I believe it was Kierkegaard. Sorry, I can't say it. It's been a long time since I said that. So like life can be understood looking back, but it can only be lived moving forward. I think that's the quote. And that makes a lot of sense. We can look back to see what our behavior was or things that were going on in the situation to understand what was going on there. But the way forward is to live, right? And when we say, you're accepting that, doesn't mean you're approving that happened. It's you're accepting it, making room for change, making room for growth. And when we start to do it, things start to get better. When we start to accept, you're accepting reality as it is, things start to move forward. It's hard to understand why it does, but it does, right? It's like when people would be working with different parts of their mental health, and I'd be working with them around accepting the fact that they do have these behaviors, these symptoms, these things that they do. And once they started to see that and accepted that they were doing these things, or that was part of their situation, they would start to just move forward, right? Yeah, that's how it is. I get really anxious in these situations, so I accept the fact that I do get anxious. I have anxiety. Right? Now what? So I do these things to move forward. X, Y, and Z. I work on my anxiety. Accept the fact that I do have it. I don't stay inside myself and say it's terrible that I have it. It's terrible that this is happening. It's terrible this and it's terrible that. Right? So, anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Like and subscribe. I guess that's what you're supposed to say. Like I said, I'm all new to all this kind of stuff, and we'll see what happens. So take care. Hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Take care.